As much as we think we have arrived, we've not arrived, and oftentimes we think we're about to drive into the gates of success, but really we're in the wrong neighborhood. Sometimes we're in the wrong city, country, continent, planet. We're so far from where we desire to be, and yet we think we're so close. And this is what I want to talk about today. It's the fact that our perception of our progress advances at a faster rate than our progress actually does. It's similar to the Dunning-Kruger effect. As someone gains a small amount of knowledge, they begin to think that they are extremely clever. This is why generally the stupidest people think that they're the cleverest. That's the Dunning-Kruger effect. Because they lack the knowledge about how far away they actually are from knowing everything. They don't know what they don't know. And so they overestimate their ability because they assume that what they know makes up a large portion of the reality. And this is wrong. This is why all the clever philosophers say things like, the only thing that I know is that I know nothing. So I want to talk about this in terms of work and in terms of gaining competence in any given field. Now for me it's mostly relevant for academics because I'm still a student. So I want to talk about how we think we're progressing and we think we're nearly there, but actually we're really far away. We underestimate just how good someone can be. We underestimate that, and then someone comes along and shows us what true greatness is, and then we realize how far away we actually were. It's a similar situation to trying to expand your mind to the possibilities of life so you don't sell yourself short. I was on holiday with my girlfriend. This is a previous video I made, and we were walking along the beach near the resort we're staying at. And a little bit down the beach there was another resort which was far, far better. It was just better in every respect. It blew my mind away. It absolutely blew my mind away. And it made me realize, although I was sitting in my resort and I was grateful for it, and it was such a wonderful opportunity to go and spend time with my girlfriend and to be in such a beautiful place and have the luxuries that I did have. But then you realize that there's more to it, and there's levels, and we think generally that we're at higher levels than we are. And it's just because when you climb and you ascend to higher levels, you only know what you've passed. You only know what's below you. You never really know what's to come, what's above you. And so getting glimpses of this really helps us to identify that we're further away than we think we are. And this is a crucial realization. It's so important because if we continuously overestimate ourselves, we'll continuously underperform, because reality demands more from us than what we think it does. Now, relating this to work, you think that a small amount of studying has resulted in a large amount of benefit. And while it might have had the greatest returns, marginal returns for your effort, when you've put in no effort, you might get the largest return on your first hour of studying, then second hour slightly less, but still large return. And then by that logic, you think that the diminishing marginal returns curve flattens out and you stop getting gains after a certain number of hours, or just that the gains are so hard to come by. And that is the fatal flaw. That's how we all trip up. We think we're at the end of the diminishing marginal returns curve, but we're only just beginning. And we way underestimate how steep that curve is and just how much gains there are to be had. I don't know if you've ever had aspirations for yourself in any particular realm, and then you've realized that there are people out there that have far, far, far exceeded whatever you were even aspiring towards. And then you have to think shit, man, my goals, I thought they were grand. They seemed unrealistic. They seemed optimistic. And yet there are people here whose realities are way more grand than my goals. And that's the epiphany moment. That's the revelation. That's what should ignite a fire under your ass. That's what should get you thinking. Now, at varsity, my goal was to have a high GPA and to do the best that I can, and my GPA would be nice if I could get in the 90s, but I was quite satisfied with it being in the 80s. Mid to high 80s would have been just perfect, and I was happy with that. But then you realize that there's people that are getting 97s GPAs, 98s, 96s, and you are just in a different realm. You didn't even think it was possible, so you didn't even aim that high. And so then you'll never achieve that. And just in the same thing applies to all areas of life. Think about wealth. You think, I want to get to certain amount of income, or I want to have a house, or I want to have this. And then you realize that there are people out there that own islands. There are people out there with jets and yachts, and you trying to think about how to go on holiday to overseas, and you're thinking about economy class, and then you think, far distant future, but business class would be great. And then there's people that own islands, airports, jets, and they are just in leagues and leagues above what your dreams are. And so we have to realize that there's much more available for us. The same in every skill set. I've been typing a lot lately, trying to increase my typing speed. My exams this year are typing exams predominantly. And so, or at least I have to type my answers. And so I have to get fast at typing so I can write as much as I can, get the marks. And so, if it weren't for me knowing what people's typing speeds can get to in the 200s, I would have thought that I've gained competence by now because I've been practicing a lot. And yet, only because I know what's possible do I realize just how far away I am from my goal. I'm not even at the base of the mountain. I'm not even at the nick point. I'm in the valley. And to realize that really, really gets you going. It's inspirational, for one, because you realize that what's possible is much greater than you thought. And then, for two, apart from it just being inspirational, it makes you realize that you've got a lot of work to do. You're not there yet. You haven't arrived. There's still stuff that needs to be done. And your efforts won't be in vain. You will still get significant returns on your time and effort. We think we're far, but we're really not. We're not even in the neighborhood. We're not even close. And that's the crucial insight. I think the idea behind this is to constantly try and gain perspective on your level of competence and gain perspective on your current standing in a particular endeavor. So to realize that, yes, I've put in a lot of effort, but the gains to be made are still there. There is still so much on the table. And to try and expose yourself to what's possible, to try and dream bigger, to try and realize that your potential is much greater than you can even imagine. And to try and expose yourself to this type of thing, and then to take that distant reality or distant desired reality and try and link that to the present through the outputs that are required. And then you can start to realize that these people that have these 97 GPAs, these people that have these islands and jets, these are the people that have sacrificed way more than anyone else. They've put in way more than anyone else. Sure, there's luck involved in everything, but you'd be a fool to think it's primarily down to luck. A lot of it can be down to luck, but you will not even get a chance if you don't put in any effort, or if you don't extend yourself, or if you don't even realize that it's possible. Then you have no chance to begin with. A putt that's hit short will never go in the hole. You have to give it a chance. You have to give yourself a chance. You have to realize just how much there is available for you. And these people who have achieved this have sacrificed so much. They've put in so much effort. They've done so much for themselves and others in order to arrive. And they even haven't arrived because there's more available. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. The point is that we certainly haven't arrived, and we're far, far away. And so the goal is not necessarily to arrive, but the goal is to continue the seek, is to seek progressively, to come closer, and to come closer faster, to ascend the exponential curve, to ascend the mountain, to go further than you think was possible. And to do this, we have to make sacrifices greater than we thought we had to. These people with the 97% GPAs, sure, a lot of them are absolute academic whizzes, they're geniuses, but a lot of the times they have just put in so much more effort than anyone else. They are just so much more dedicated and committed to studying, and they haven't given up at the slightest glimpse of competence. They understand the work and realize that it doesn't stop there. They've understood that a simple understanding, or even a thorough, deep understanding, is not enough. You have to be able to apply it. You have to be able to apply it to all situations under time pressure, without hesitation, in order to do well. That's what it takes to be at that level. And it's not enough to go through the motions, to just do the work that's given to you, to just understand, to make average sacrifices. You can't expect greatness that way. These people who have these private islands and these jets, these are people who have successful companies, global companies, who have advanced humanity, not just communities, although that's also noble, not just individuals, although that's also noble, but they've advanced humanity, and so they've been rewarded for it. In order to have these grand outputs, we have to make grand inputs, and we need to realize that there's so much more available to us. Expand your mind and your perspective, and realize that the efforts are not in vain. There's so much still to be gained, regardless of how competent you think you are.